Hello, and welcome to the Spark London podcast. Real people, real talk, real estate. I'm your host, Vince Simpson, founder of Spark London, project strategists and managers. Join me as I sit down with industry experts, leaders, consultants, specialists, and perhaps even the odd contrarian. Please note that nothing in our episodes constitutes as advice, it's purely for your entertainment and inspiration only. Now, put the kettle on, make a cup of tea or your favourite overpriced ground coffee, and let's meet today's guest. Rod, great to have you here.
Thank you very much,
Uh,
Vince. Nice to be here.
Great. Full disclosure, we have done a fantastic project
Yeah,
about a year ago in the West End. Went well, but we're not here to talk about that
not
today.
today, no.
We're here to talk about many other things. And I'm dying to have a great conversation about a couple of topics. But where I'd like to start is actually maybe a 5 minute abridged version of your career history and how you've
Yeah.
actually come to be in the room today.
When I was growing up, there wasn't really a career selection
Okay.
in El Salvador. You were either a doctor, an accountant, a lawyer, or if you could draw, you were an architect. So I guess my future was kind of predetermined from a very early age, I think my family would attest to that.
Okay.
But I studied here in the UK. I came here when I was 5, hence my very English accent,
Indeed. Yeah.
and studied at Nottingham and then studied at UCL and Bartlett to finish off for my part two. Went straight into West London practice called Michaelis Boyd Associates, very well known for beautiful high-end architecture. Pioneered basement construction, pioneered industrial chic.
Wow.
Things they were doing at the time, and I was there for about 12 years, and then set up my own practice. I suppose with that kind of vision that we all have of, you know, in inverted commas, doing my own thing.
Yeah.
I guess there were things that I learned there that I wanted to do differently. I guess there were things that I wanted to explore, and we've been doing that now for about 18 or so years, maybe a little bit,
Yeah.
depending on where you draw the line, but something like that. And we grew very fast. We were lucky enough to secure a project on Trafalgar Square, doing a series of lateral conversions of quite a prominent building right on Trafalgar Square.
Wow. Right in the
Um,
public eye, high
yeah,
profile. Wow. Very cool.
that was our first project. The guy that gave us that project, amazing kind of foresight and faith in us,
Wow.
working on small things with him, and suddenly called me up one day and said, "I've got something a bit bigger. Would you like to look at it?" And
That's the
you
kind of
know,
project to put you on the map.
off we went. Yeah,
That's fantastic.
and it was that kind of whole demolish 2 floors, put 2 floors back on, beautiful kind of high-end
Serious
development
stuff.
project.
Yeah.
So it was really good fun, and that set us up. We grew much faster than I guess I ever intended to as a result of that.
Mm.
And yeah, no, here we are today. We're about 18 or so strong. I think we're not quite as big as we have been in the past,
Sure.
but I think we went through a process of reinvention just before COVID, around 2018, 2019,
Hmm.
working with a business mentor to try to understand what the future looked like for us in terms of structure, in terms of lead generation, in terms of project type and sector. Trying to understand what my role was in that, and as a consequence of that, we reinvented ourselves. Really, there's a traditional, I suppose, maybe it's in all creative industries, but in particular, I think you see it in architecture, and we're victims of it too. That the founder is the architect, and there are a
Indeed. Yeah.
bunch of people,
Yeah.
underneath that master,
Yeah.
who do his or her bidding.
Yeah. Sure.
Um,
Sure.
a- and that isn't really what happens in most architectural firms, but that's the story that gets told.
Yeah.
The grand master. We look at famous architects and try to kind of follow in their image.
Mm.
Um, but of course, at some point, you realize that you are not the best architect in the room. You're not the best designer. You're not the best person with color or fabric or interiors or detailing or any of those things. And you've actually got a team of fantastic people who are better at you than those things.
Yeah.
So the decision that I took was actually to turn that traditional triangle upside down.
Okay. Yeah.
Actually bring our architects much closer to projects, much closer to clients, and for me to sort of step to one side or maybe even to the back,
Hmm.
picking up a much more strategic role, a much more kind of incisive role about how projects are structured and how they're put together, and how they're delivered, working quite closely with clients in early stages,
Hmm.
and then letting the architectural team do what they do really well, which is to deliver great projects.
Do you know that's great. Really getting to the meat of the conversation now, because it's just pick up on that point, um, that you're self aware enough to look at look at it as a design team
Yeah,
rather than what is, shouldn't generalize, but sometimes you see there's a principle and then designers, and that principle is the be all and end all, and kind of what they say goes, and then the designers or the technical guys or whatever it may be go away and actually do the work,
do the bidding.
do the bidding. Yeah. But actually, it's a real refreshing thing to hear that to do it properly, I guess, or maybe the right thing to do is look at it holistically as a team of designers with different creative ideas, and it's not necessarily a principal that needs to lead that process or do too much bidding, for want of a better phrase.
Yeah. And I suppose if you spread that out to the wider design team, you see the very, the same thing repeat itself.
Yeah,
You know, you
yeah,
you will have, again, not generalizing, but you will regularly have architects in the room who want to rule the process
yes,
to deliver their vision of the
yeah,
project.
yeah, yeah.
Um, and I know a little bit about engineering, but I can't do any of the maths. I know the principles. I know
Me neither.
a little bit about acoustics, although who knows about acoustics, right? No one.
Yeah, that's a dark art. Yeah,
And I know a little bit about everything, but
yeah,
what I find my strength is, over and above even people in my team, is just being able to pull what I describe as the kind of the cloud of the project, the kind of
mm, mm.
the unshapable mass of a project at the
Yeah,
very start,
yeah.
and cut in and give it real shape and direction. So
And
to
strategy, you
yeah,
said
well,
strategy, which is a huge,
to strategize around,
yeah,
what are the client's goals, what are they trying to achieve, where are they trying to go,
yeah,
and how do we navigate the processes that are in every project
yeah.
to achieve that goal. Because all clients have different aspirations, different goals. Some of them are driven by having a star architect deliver them the most beautiful project. But I
Becomes a
think
brand thing.
there's a few and far between, right?
Yeah, I'd hope so.
Typically most clients that we come across
Yeah,
come to us because they want an effective solution to an architectural problem,
yeah,
not necessarily because they want the big shiny stick on the street.
sure. I agree with that. I do still think there is a, and I'm going to say this and probably upset a lot of architects here. I'm sorry if I am, but sometimes there can be snobbery that is still prevalent in certain schemes or certain areas, shall we say. Um, is that right, wrong, indifferent? I'm not sure. I think it's horses for courses, perhaps. But I would agree that that's hopefully the minority of cases. So when it comes to the cases where actually a client just wants really good advice, good direction, good design strategy, etc., there's a whole pool of experts out there that can and do that, which is absolutely fantastic, right? And I think that's probably where Spark and Marino Macy sit, right? But you mentioned a cloud, and I'm a very visual person. I always visualize the same thing, but maybe not as a cloud. It's the chaos or the unknowns before you go to project mode.
Hmm.
And you mentioned strategy. Obviously, you know that we've recently repositioned the project strategists. Whoever the first person is through the door with that client who's going to take that brief, whether it be a project manager or a project strategist, an agent,
Yeah.
or an architect, I think the obligation is on us to try and cut through the cloud. And I think it's a really good
Mm.
analogy. But it's not, I just don't think it's often done enough. Maybe it's of a big scheme with a very sophisticated client, 100,000 square feet plus, and they do 5 of them a year. They're a
Yeah.
bit more smarter. But go below that, everything just feels so reactive these days. And I think the obligation is on us as consultants and advisors to extract a brief, shape a brief, put aside the noise, and get to the point of what a client actually wants or thinks they want,
Hmm.
challenge them. I kind of feel we're not doing it brilliantly, if I'm honest. What do you think?
So I mean, I would say we're not.
Yeah,
So the way that I talk about it, and it's something I talked about with our business mentor way back when, and it's something that stuck with me, is about finding alignment.
yeah,
So the classic example, you see this all the time, is a misalignment between cost and outcome. Yeah,
huge,
it's the
huge.
classic it's the classic alignment.
Yeah,
But there are others, right? There are others around expectations on time, program
yeah,
versus outcome.
yeah,
Um, planning consent versus outcome.
Yeah.
In estate management and houses in the Grosvenor estate, Grosvenor versus outcome. All these regulatory bodies that sit over your project,
Yeah.
whether they be cost or time or consent,
Yeah.
and aligning a client's expectations, aspirations, outcomes against those things. And so you'll regularly see that you will take a brief from a client,
Mm-hmm.
and you'll spend an hour walking a site with them, walking a home with them. So I want this, I want to do this, I want to change this, I want to change that.
Yeah.
And then at the end, you have that kind of slightly awkward, shy conversation. So, what's your budget?
Yeah. Yeah.
And a number comes out that is probably most of the times the project we work in quite a big number.
Yeah.
But you and I know that it's not the right number
Yep.
for that product.
Yes.
And I think most of us will go, oh, and stay silent,
Mm.
and then hope that it will get itself flushed out somewhere
Yeah.
along the way.
Yeah.
And I think what's required is a bit more honesty at that point. And what I try and do very hard in this conversation is to say, okay, look, that's your budget, and that's your desired outcome.
Mm-hmm.
Today, those things aren't aligned.
Yeah.
My job is to work with you on how to align those things so that you either spend that amount of money or get that outcome, or ideally, probably something in between.
Yeah, sure.
And you find that alignment. You kind of pull away at what's really important about a brief, whether it's absolute creation of area, or in commercial projects it's number of desks, or it's additional floor spaces or unit sizes, or any of those kind of things. Or in a home, it's understanding a family. You've got 3 kids, you've got they're teenagers, they're about to move out, they're going to turn up with their boyfriends, they all that sort of stuff that you kind of get into the life of the project, and really dig out what the brief is.
Exactly. It's for me, I totally agree with all of that. For me, it's the reality of the end product. What are we trying to achieve? And I kind of look at it from a real estate perspective and I swear we as consultants forget this. Our projects exist because there's a need to do something with a property.
Yeah.
Okay, whether it be residential or whether it be where I kind of operate, office mainly, or commercial at least. There's a business driver. It's expansion, it's retraction, it's acquisition, it's a lease that's up, it's an opportunity to reinvent new ways of working. There's always a driver.
Yeah.
We tend to forget that as consultants. It's boom, oh yeah, I can do that. Here's my fee, let's do a walk around, and we're straight into project mode. We seem to forget to go back a few steps to understand why we're doing it, to then shape how it should be done. And this is the strategic piece that I'm really going to be focusing on. But it sounds like that's really aligned with what you're saying. Get in a room and understand the whys and the whats and the hows, shape it, challenge it, move it around a bit, push and pull it, and then go and say, right, now let's deliver a fantastic project. Now you talk about cost or budget being a big challenge. I see that every single day.
Yeah, we all
How
do.
many projects do we go into and we're value engineering straight away? It's wrong. It's really fundamentally wrong. How many projects do we go into where we haven't got time for that? We haven't got time for that. And then what happens? Sacrifices need to be made. And we can go on for a whole different podcast about a faster, harder, more tense industry.
Yeah.
But we've kind of got ourselves there, which is a real shame.
Well, I suppose part of the challenge that architects have is the phone rings, and some architects, I mean, we're all partly guilty of this, whether it be a business driver or whether it be a kind of a, emotional, creative need to, what's that phrase I heard the other day? Leave an indelible mark on the city,
Okay, right.
which I kind of enjoyed as a phrase.
Yeah.
And often we get that phone call and we see that opportunity not as a business proposition, but as a patronage.
Yeah, sure.
So our clients are funding the delivery of our own vision.
Yeah.
And I think that starts with architectural education, and ends in your master architect, who is, trying to kind of create this visionary brand, and sets to one side the idea that actually the client has a very specific need, whether that's commercial or residential, or in any project that you do, there is a specific need. We are there to serve a purpose.
Exactly.
And if you rewind the clock to that very first conversation, for us, for example, it's really useful to have another person in the room who
Mhm.
is saying broadly the same thing that we are.
I think it's essential.
because
Yeah.
because often we'll walk into a room and we'll be, again, not all consultants, but we may be faced with an interior design team
Yeah.
and an architect both talking to a client, and we find ourselves pulling in a different direction
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I mean, their drivers are different, right? They're trying to create something of absolute beauty,
Yeah.
and we're trying to deliver a project through a piece of,
Mm.
strategy and
Yeah.
regulation,
Yeah.
and you find yourselves at odds, from day one. So I often talk about the idea of a summit where you bring in together all these heads of states who will then come into the room. They're all, the individual leaders of their profession.
Yeah.
You're talking to the right level of seniority of people who can make strategic decisions.
Yeah.
You all sit round a metaphorical circular table where even the client
Yeah.
is equal in that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, the for want of a better word, the enemy is the project, not the client.
Yes. Yes.
Um, so you're coming together to strategize
That's
the
the challenge
project,
that needs to be solved. Yeah.
strategize the project,
Yeah.
not fight against the client.
Yes.
The client's part of the team.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
are they are they are
And they've got a fundamental role to play.
yeah, and
Yeah.
and they
Absolutely. Yeah.
they have a series of needs, as
Mm.
well as, the architect will bring their series of needs. Strategists, project managers will bring their series of needs to the table about
Yeah.
how to deliver this thing.
Mm.
Um, so it's a way of thinking about projects that aren't led by any one individual around the table,
Yeah.
and it also gets all of the challenges out on the table on day one. So you can
Yeah.
say, you don't then end up month 3, someone says, "Oh, what about sustainability?" It's too late,
100%.
guys. It's too late. We're all, have that person at
So,
the table on day
so
one.
I love the idea of the summit. And again, not to kind of maybe overdo this, but this is the strategy that I believe is lacking in our industry. And I picture that metaphorical round table, but there is that project strategist in the room. Depending on the high level brief,
Hmm.
adding 2 floors or a fit out or a refurbishment, then the obligation on me, I think, is to get the right experts around the table. And this is where I am really keen to join the dots: strategy, ESG, technology. And there's others, of course. If you're adding 2 floors, you need structural. I get all that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But all that comes into the strategy and feasibility and due diligence of a project. You need that summit to be able to understand what you're all trying to do. And you used the word goal earlier. There needs to be an end goal. What is the end goal?
Yeah.
Is it 2 floors that we can let and it's beautiful and we achieve a certain rent point? Or is it, right, we've fitted that out and we can move our staff earlier, which means we can get out of that lease, there's no extension. It's all strategy.
But
And it's not done enough.
yeah,
It's really not.
I think interestingly though, and this is how architects maybe do themselves a disservice, is we talk about the classic project where you're adding 2 floors.
Hmm.
I'm kind of interested in taking a step back from there,
Hmm.
for all sorts of reasons, insofar as time and cost and responsible design and carbon footprints and all of those sorts of things.
Hmm.
To say, well, Mr. Client, that may be what you want to do, what you think you want to do,
Yeah.
but actually, is your goal something slightly different? Is your goal to increase revenue? Is your goal to
Yeah.
make this building,
It's the why.
pull out more more revenue, more income, higher value?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is 2 floors the best way to do that?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
That's question one, isn't it?
That's a feasibility, a stay versus go scenario, A, B, C.
Yeah,
I mean, we've even had chats before as Spark, do you buy that building or do you buy that building? Let's run the exercise. Let's
yeah,
do
yeah, yeah.
scenario B. We could go on all day about this, but maybe let's go on the other side of that. If we feel that that's how the industry should be, I guess that tells us and our listeners that maybe it's not always being done that way. So I might pose a question. Do we think that whether it be architects or other consultants or even contractors or D&B firms, there are some amazing firms out there, but there's also some that are maybe less diligent. Do we think sometimes people say yes to secure a project and then worry about, can they stand by that yes later on down the line? Do we think that's a thing?
I think we all do to a certain degree.
Okay.
I mean, speaking for architects specifically, us as architects, I'm not generalizing around other architects. we are trained from birth, if you like, as architects, to be optimistic about the world,
Yeah.
to
Okay.
see the good and the opportunity and the hope and the promise of a space, of a building, of a project. And so you if you don't get to understand the brief well enough, if you don't understand the strategy well enough,
Yeah.
it's easy to get lost in that journey of hope,
Yeah.
to say yes to a project
Okay.
because you think there will be a way forward.
Yeah.
And I'm guilty of this because I will cut through a project and in my head very quickly in a meeting and go, well, what you
Yeah.
want to achieve is possible. It's not what you've asked for, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and so you can say yes without having to actually rewind on that later, as long as you understand the goal.
Yeah. Okay.
But to promise yes for the wrong timeline or the wrong budget or something that's never going to get through planning, or it's it's a waste of everyone's energy. No,
Eh,
maybe
eh,
not time because people will get paid, but energy, I think, more importantly, because all it does is damage your brand. It exhausts your team. It
mm,
demotivates.
yeah. I kind of agree, but I will challenge you. For me, that still happens all too often. And I operate in a, and I kind of visualize this very crudely. There's small occupiers or investors up to, let's say, 30,000 square feet. Okay. 30 to 100 are your medium.
Yeah,
100 and above are arguably sophisticated clients or investors using different supply chains and thinking more strategically. But the 100 and below, maybe your one-off kind of clients
hmm
that maybe do a project once a year, or maybe even a 5 or a 10 if they're an occupier, right? But I just think that that still happens all too often. They're maybe given the wrong advice up front. By who? And again, cannot generalize, should not generalize. Often agents are the first people that they talk to,
yeah,
right? Then maybe it's a D&B firm. Then maybe it's a project manager or QS, if at all. Okay. Now, again, I'm not saying that's right, wrong, and different. It's horses for courses. But consultants exist for a reason. But for me, it still happens all too often. But to pick up on the, okay, maybe there's time challenges, but does that matter? People are getting paid. But I've seen it many times where, right, we've gone into this, we should have checked X, Y, Z. That due diligence hasn't been done. That's going to have a time impact. Yes, everyone gets paid, but the budget's already signed off. That money's now got to come from somewhere.
yeah,
In steps value engineering, or even scope, right? Reduction and emitting stuff.
yeah,
The product gets watered down because we never thought about it well enough at the start. And the reason it wasn't thought about is because the right people weren't in the room, frankly.
yeah, for sure. For sure that happens. And I think it's there's an element of getting the project moving
Yeah,
that suddenly you get carried away with that process, and before you know it, it's too late.
yeah,
I have this metaphor that I tell about a taxi journey, maybe back in the 90s,
huh,
where you find yourself in a town that you've been to before, but you don't know it that well,
yeah.
and you're clutching your £10, before you had Apple Pay and all that kind of fun
You
stuff.
could have gone a long way for £10
Yeah,
back then.
well, you could exactly, and you read your guidebook because there was no
Yeah.
internet at the time, and you know it's £10 to get to your
Yeah, yeah,
hotel,
yeah,
and you
yeah.
jump in the cab and taxi driver says, yeah, sure, no problem, get in. And you watch the meter clocking up, and then suddenly you think, wow, meter's on about £6 here.
Yeah.
I've only got £10.
Hmm.
The meter's still clocking away, and suddenly you look around and you go, I'm not sure. I'm not sure there's a motorway in this journey. I'm not sure we're going quite the right way here.
Yeah.
But that money's already spent, right? You're not gonna
Yeah.
not pay it.
No.
Uh, but you're also not going to get to your hotel.
Yeah.
So at some point you're going to have to either phone your phone your parents
Phone a
to
friend.
phone a friend to pay the balance, or you're not going to make it,
Yeah,
and you're
yeah,
going to
yeah.
have to walk the rest of the way.
Yeah.
And I think if you flip that on its head and you think about what Uber does very well these
Yeah.
days is forget the company itself, but the platform. You know what time the taxi's coming,
Yeah.
you know what time you're going to get there, and you know what it's going to cost.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if we ran projects that way?
It's doable, Rod. It is 100% doable. I 100% say to everyone listening here, especially clients if they are, it's doable. You just got to flip the order of things
Yeah.
and trust the right advice, not the quickest and easiest advice. And if I could build on that analogy,
Yeah.
so you think you're halfway to the hotel with your 10 on your hand. You then tell the taxi driver, "Oh no, we might have gone the wrong way," or "Are you sure?" And he says, "Oh, I'm going the right way, but it's going to cost you 20." What do? So now you've got to stop off at a cash machine, which is the CFO's office. You've got to knock on the door and say, "Can I have more money, please?" That's kind of my extension of that analogy. And
Yeah, yeah,
again,
yeah.
that happens all too often. Or the CFO says, "No, you can't. Find the money in your own budget."
Yeah.
Okay.
AKA walk.
AKA walk. Value engineering. That's exactly
Yeah.
what it is, right? Hello, me again. Sorry to interrupt. I just want to give a few seconds to our sponsors. Yes, it's us, Spark London. At Spark London, we are not just project managers, we are project strategists. And yes, there is a huge difference. Clients come to us to avoid the same old project mistakes, cost overruns, and delays by thinking strategically about their project. To find out more, visit us at spark.london or find us on LinkedIn. All links are in the show notes. Now back to the conversation. One thing that is very hot topic, and rightly so, is regulation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now I mean, we're British. We love a bit of regulation, but the biggest topic at the minute is the Building Safety Act.
Yeah.
Um, Real impact on architects, design and build firms, well, everyone around the table really, with the golden thread and all that kind of good stuff, which is absolutely valuable, got a place. I personally think the industry is still in a state of shock on, right, how do we deal with all of this and what does it really mean?
Yeah.
I think the accountability factor has got some people, entities, organisations, or roles on the back foot a little bit. Now they've actually got to put their name to something.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that? What's your thoughts on it?
Um, so I mean, I want to be quite clear at the start of this conversation
Yeah.
because anything that makes our buildings safer is a good thing,
Yes.
and that's that stands as a very simple statement.
Yeah.
I think the Building Safety Act sits across two different camps. The first camp is the one about the changes in the regulatory requirements for width of a staircase, fire resistance to structure, all that kind of stuff.
Mm.
That's maybe not for this chat, but it's the nuts and bolts of how do you build a safe building.
Yep.
The Building Safety Act, broadly speaking, didn't change any of that.
Sure. Yeah.
What it changed was the regulatory process by which that is approved. In all buildings, by the way, it's not just high-risk buildings; it's in all
No.
buildings.
So yeah.
People forget that quite a lot,
Yeah.
and it also places specific duties on clients. Clients
Yes.
forget that too,
Yeah. They've got a role to
and
play. Yeah.
designers, which by the way doesn't mean architects; it's all designers,
Yeah.
and contractors in the principal designer role.
Mhm.
And it's what that change in regulation is actually doing is it's asking everyone to do what they were supposed to do anyway,
Yes.
but write it down.
Yes.
And that's what I keep telling my team, and they're going, "This is really difficult, and we have to do X, Y, and Z, and we have to. This is what we are supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
It's just we're being asked to write it down."
Okay.
And I don't think that's a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
But what it leads to is confusion because clients are now saying, "Hold on a second, you're telling me this is going to take me 6 months longer, and your fee is bigger because what? Because you're doing what you were supposed to be doing."
Yeah.
And so we have to explain the role of principal designer, and principal designer is a bit of a weird term that means.
Yeah. It's a bit of a
One of
misnomer,
my
really, isn't
one
it?
of my
Yeah.
clients asked me, when I said to him principal designer, he said, "Aren't you the principal designer?"
Yeah.
Because it kind of means the main designer.
Yeah.
So isn't that you?
It's funny, the terminology wise, lead designer, as in,
Yeah,
is it an architectural led project, right? Or is it a
yeah,
structure led project, something like that? Lead design and principal, two totally different things, but actually the terminology really matters because there's a fundamental role in there.
yeah,
And you've got to explain that even to people in our industry, actually, to be
yeah.
fair. But,
We,
but
we
yeah.
we struggle to explain the term designer to most of our industry.
Yeah,
We
okay.
work. I mean, it's unfair for me to say that because some companies are really coming up to speed. I think I was lucky enough that we have a technical director in our business for a practice of our size, very rare.
Hmm.
We took the decision to create that role in order to spread knowledge across the office rather than silo information
Sure.
into
Okay.
different teams and projects. So
Yeah.
our technical director watched this coming for a year, and pulled me into meetings and said, "Rod, this is coming.
Got to get ahead
We
of it.
need to get ahead of it."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, but isn't it the same as we were always doing? We're just writing it down."
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So we ended up hitting the ground running when the regulations came in back in October 23, and people are still catching up. We're what, 2 years on now. People are still
Yeah.
catching up. When you ask them, say, well, can you confirm that you've designed this and it complies with part X, Y, and Z of the building regs? They go,
Yeah.
it does. You go,
Yeah.
okay, great. Can you
put that in
you
writing? Yeah.
confirm that and tell me
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
and tell
Yeah.
me why? They
Yeah.
go, I never used to do that before.
Yeah.
No,
Where have you been?
that's because the regulations changed.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Indeed.
and explaining that to people suddenly becomes this huge piece of red tape. But it comes down to the same thing about having upfront conversations early.
Yeah.
Strategy around is height more important to you than time?
Yeah.
Do you want 8 floors? Because if you have 6 floors,
Yeah.
you can build this faster, not less safe, faster.
Yeah.
If you have to have 8 floors, let's have a conversation about what that's going to mean in terms of your program, in terms of your design team. Your design team is going to get twice as big.
Yeah.
Um,
So taking all that into account, and it's not just the building safety regulation. There's planning. There's rights of light. There's all sorts of things.
yeah,
Again, not to kind of sound too negative about it, but there's just a lot going on in our industry, right? To actually just get on with a day job
yeah,
is a challenge in itself because of everything else that surrounds a project. And I guess here's not to come back to the strategy and the cloud as you visualized it. The CFO, the CEO, the CTO, the board, whoever that client may be, a lot of them, again, unless they're sophisticated, but a lot of them, it's not their day job. They don't
no,
know. But what they tend to do is get some of that advice up front and they go straight to project mode. Can I choose my carpets, my curtains, and my cushions, please? Right? And I'm oversimplifying for
yeah,
effect, of
for sure.
course. But it's stuff like this that really matters. It's real advice. It goes, well, actually, no, you need to do this due diligence, and you've not done that survey because that will then shape X, Y, Z, and all that kind of good stuff. And well, you don't know if you can afford that, or how long that takes, etc. So we're kind of going around in a circle here, but it all comes down to early thought. I guess is
Yes,
where I'm trying to join the dots here.
yeah. Early thought and I think alignment. Um,
Yeah, yeah,
I come back to the term alignment and aligning those different client briefs, aligning those different consultant needs.
mm.
Um, a little bit of without sounding kind of superior, which architects do have a tendency to sound a bit superior, and I'm aware of it.
You're in good company. It's
But
fine.
it's a
No
little.
one's watching.
No one's watching. It's fine. Is a little bit of education. Having these conversations and I talk about a lot about the difference between education and experience is that education is done off project,
Yeah,
and experience is done on project. And I think you can teach through experience, but actually real change happens when you're educating. And so it's more important, I think, to go and have lunch with a client and talk about the challenges of high risk buildings and
hmm
the duties on the duties on clients and landowners and what have you,
yeah,
than it is to be in a project screaming and shouting about the fact you haven't got enough time to, you know,
yeah,
whatever else. And because it's too late by then. We're back to that same point, right?
we
Is
are,
it's too late by then.
we
But
are.
you develop relationships with clients that are meaningful and bilateral, by which I mean there's a mutual respect for what their needs are. We understand their needs and they understand what we need from them to meet those needs.
Yeah,
Not our
yeah,
needs, because our needs are, whatever they are. We're a service provider.
yeah, yeah,
But it's
mhm.
it's what do we need from them in order to give them the thing that they want.
Yeah, sure.
Help me help you, Jerry Maguire said, right?
Exactly that. But there's never a truer word spoken, actually.
Yeah,
If you take it, peel it really back, we're consultants, we're advisors. It's literally our function,
yeah.
right? And I think again, repeating, but we sometimes forget that. Um, do you think clients? This is a big fat question of, do you think clients um, get it generally? Like you're saying, let's go for a coffee or lunch and try and educate.
Yeah.
Do you think they get it? Are they open to that education?
Some are.
Yeah.
Some are. I don't think it's necessarily down to different clients have different pressures, right?
Yeah, I mean,
They
it's a very broad
they
question,
feel
though.
different. They feel different pressures.
Yeah.
A CFO will feel different pressures to a family project, to a hospitality project.
Yeah.
They feel very different pressures,
Mm.
and it really is incumbent on us to understand how to relieve that pain.
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
pain that a client will feel around uncertainty, around risk of reputation, around risk of failure, all those kind of quite emotional things that are
Yeah.
going on behind the scenes in a business transaction.
Yeah.
I think it's incumbent on us to actually help them with that, help them with that pain, and take some of it away
Yeah.
through through kind of patient conversation.
Yes.
Not
Yeah.
not teaching in that kind of you must, but actually,
No, 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 no.
but I come back to the same point, right? Is do you want to build those two floors on top, or can you achieve your goals differently? What
Yeah.
are your goals? Are your goals time? Are your goals to
Yeah.
create a beautiful space? So,
Yeah.
we talk about complex solutions, and there's a challenge when you talk about solving complex solutions that they all sound a bit ugly. And it's at odds with what we do as architects, that
Hmm.
we try and wrap our complex solutions in something
In someone
beautiful.
beautiful. Yeah. Yeah.
um, but maybe we're not telling that story well enough. Architects aren't telling that story well enough. I talk about the split between, I give talks at my children's school about being an architect, a careers talks. I'm doing one in
Very
a
cool.
couple of weeks'
Okay.
time.
That's very cool.
And one of the things I say to them is, everyone thinks that architecture is like 80% creative and 20% maths or technical and what have you. And I think we're lucky if it's the opposite. I think it's more like 95% technical and 5% creative. And
Sure.
if we
Okay.
and if we were
That's
telling that
interesting. Yeah.
story better,
Yeah.
there wouldn't be an expectation on us as architects to deliver some, you know, Gary-esque museum piece
Yeah.
for every single project. But also,
Yeah.
clients would know that they're not, this phrase, I hate this phrase, paying for the drawings. How many drawings am I paying for? You're not buying
Yeah.
drawings. You're
Yeah.
you're you're paying for advice.
Yeah.
That advice is presented to you as a series of graphical tools
Yeah.
to build a thing. But
Hmm.
you're not buying drawings. You're buying advice.
Yeah.
Your lawyer produces a contract, but you're not buying the contract.
No.
You're buying the advice.
And the time that goes with it.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
So like we're really aligned on that, and I smile there because it's a similar chat that I or any other project manager or project strategist has. The client will ask, well, how much time do we get from you? Is it a day a week? Is it 2 days a week? Blah blah. And we've got to kind of gauge ourselves on time to a
You
degree.
have to, yeah. We all sell
But
time.
again, it's I could tell you something in half an hour, or we can string it out for a day and a half. What I'm actually telling you and the advice and the path through this project probably isn't going to change, right? You're paying for the advice that's in my head and my experience,
Yeah, yeah.
right? Not ticking a box. Completely different outlook. So yeah, I think, and again, it comes. You're right, and it's not a raw. It's not bad that we've gone full circle here again, because the fact that we keep ending up to the same point here
Yeah.
proves the fact that that's what we need to fix in the industry, perhaps.
Yeah. That pressure cooker of needs, regulatory, financial, time, client needs, architects' aspirations, they all sort of meet in the middle, and
Yeah,
and yeah, I think that pressure has increased over the last 4 or 5 years. Our commercial requirements post COVID to recover, if you like, from
hmm,
where our business was. Um, our need as architects in the space to do something beautiful,
yeah,
set against much higher pressures on things like land value, the availability of projects, the scarcity of development opportunities,
hmm,
increasing construction costs. Construction costs are up, 25-30% over
yeah,
the last few
yeah,
years.
yeah,
And the industry is still pretending that didn't happen.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Contractors know it, you guys know it.
yeah,
We pretend it didn't happen.
yeah,
Clients don't want to hear it.
yeah, exactly, yeah,
And in the middle
yeah,
is this kind of huge pressure cooker
mm,
of a project, just kind of, I suppose, in some ways, waiting to fail.
yeah,
At what point is this going to finally fall over because we didn't have a
yeah,
proper brief,
yeah,
a proper timeline,
yeah.
a proper conversation about goals.
I think we're there. Yes, projects are happening, this podcast is about real people, real talk, real
mm,
estate, right? So I like to say it how it is. That the LinkedIn facade of
yeah,
amazing, great, fantastic, superb projects, and there are loads of them. We shouldn't be too negative in this
yeah,
chat. There's great organizations, clients, people out there. There's fantastic stuff, but there is a hidden facade of we got there and we made it look all right kind of thing.
Yeah.
And if you really were to delve into well, what was the journey like?
No one talks about the journey.
No one talks about the journey, right? And I guess me and you have been guilty of that at some points in our career, but maybe we're in a different place now where we can afford to be a bit more vocal about it. We need to get past it. We really, really do, because the spiral will just keep continuing, and no one really will know what the truth is because no one talks about the truth, right?
No, I think
And
LinkedIn
that's
is Instagram with a gilet on.
yeah, with a gilet. Yes, exactly. That's
Yeah.
exactly what it is. Yeah, yeah. I'll call it a waistcoat. Okay, or a body warmer. Right. I'm gonna maybe not go on the LinkedIn bit, but let's move to a tenuous link to technology, a
Okay.
very tenuous link to technology.
Well,
Um,
maybe not, right?
AI,
Yeah.
AI, big big theme of discussion
Hmm.
just now. Again, I think it's one of those things where not just our industry, but a lot of industries are in a little bit of shock. Some are grabbing it and embracing it very well, I've got to say. I'm quite early in that kind of journey,
As am I, yeah.
but we've all got to kind of deal with it. And interestingly, on the training, because I'm a bit of a geek, I read the RICS guidance note on, or standards, I should say, there's the difference, on AI for surveying. Quite interesting.
Yeah.
I'm not going to quote any lines here and now, but
We'll test you on it afterwards.
yeah, indeed. But let's bring it to architecture and interior design. Where is it in your industry or your part of the industry? Where do you think it's going to go?
So, I mean, the link for me is this: these are the conversations I have. Most conversations are around these sorts of topics.
Yeah.
Um, and I guess it is connected to the idea of advice because so I've been saying this thing that I originally thought, having watched the last Indiana Jones movie where Harrison Ford was basically CGI'd into the whole thing,
Right.
and not only did we know, but we didn't care.
Yeah. True. Yeah. Okay.
Um,
Still a great movie. Yeah.
because those are the problems, right? The
Sure.
problem is, do you know it's AI?
Yeah.
And the
Okay.
problem is, do you care? The question is, do you care?
Right. Okay.
And I think we sort of crossed a bridge when we suddenly watched that film and went, yeah, but we don't care. It's a great film.
Yeah.
And so when you bring that across to creative industries, it's quite easy to think to yourself, well, suddenly creation is dead,
Yeah.
right? We is this us here? We could be our digital selves having this
Let's
conversation.
not get into simulation theory. All right. We could talk about that over a
Yeah.
beer.
The creative industry in inverted commas is dead because you can generate ideas
Yeah.
very rapidly.
Yeah.
Is that what people actually need though?
Mm,
Are they
okay.
after in our industry, are they after ideas? Because ideas are 10 a penny, right?
Mm,
What you actually want is someone to tell you which of those ideas
yeah.
aligns with the things you're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of architects are making the mistake of, what do they call it? Ideifying or something like that. It's a horrible phrase about,
Ideation.
yeah, there you go, that one.
Yeah.
Ideation, where I'm going to be glib here.
Go for it.
You design a bit of a shoddy building
Yeah.
and then you put it through AI to throw out 7 versions. I hope the client likes one.
Okay. Right. Okay.
That isn't getting to the point of what architects do or what architects should do,
Yeah.
which is to provide advice on which one of those ideas
Yeah.
is the best.
Hmm.
And not the best as in the nicest or the shiniest or
So,
the most award winning,
no.
but which one satisfies the needs of that particular project.
Yeah.
And what I try to draw the distinction of is between creation and curation.
Okay.
So trying to be a curator of ideas
Yeah.
rather than the creator of those ideas.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think most creators would, talk about themselves in the same way if they thought about it a little bit, because, I mean, really, is there anything new in design? Everything is purely a curation of things that have happened in the past, represented in a new way.
Sure. Okay.
So as architects, if our job is to curate, um, ideation doesn't really worry me.
Okay. Yeah.
There's a certain
Sure.
there's a certain sector of the industry that will evaporate, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I can go to meet a client who wants to spend, I don't know, let's say £500,000 on a residential refurbishment, and it's a lot of money and it's a big investment for somebody to make that kind of investment into a property. and we may charge them 10%. I'm making up some figures here,
Mm-hmm.
and they can go online and Google building regs drawings and get them for 900 quid. That's
It's risky as hell, though.
that. But is it though? But is it though? Because
Well, I'm
because
sharing. I'm
if
agreeing
you
with you. So,
if
where's
you
the
don't
advice behind it?
yeah, but if you
Yeah,
don't know what you're missing,
yeah, yeah,
you've saved yourself £49,000.
yeah,
What could possibly go wrong?
yeah,
So I think someone will solve that problem fairly quickly. Someone will solve that problem and provide something in between your caddrawings.com
yeah,
and your architect that will provide a mid-level, good quality, AI-driven architectural solution.
yeah.
That's gone. That's happening. That's
It's
just
definitely happening.
that's just time.
It's. I think it's happening as we speak.
But
Yeah,
I think when you move into more complicated problems,
yeah.
you're not paying for ideas, you're paying for advice, you're
An
paying for
experience.
curation.
Yes. Mm.
And also, there's talk in AI about whether doctors, have a valuable part to play in diagnosis of medicine, or
Yeah.
even robotic surgery. And the answer is, well, maybe robots are better at this, maybe robots are better at diagnosing things, maybe that's true. But a doctor has two roles, right? One is to diagnose, and the other one is to deliver that news, to
Yes.
tell that story to a client, to explain to them
Yeah.
what that means and what that will happen,
Yeah.
and to then curate
Yeah.
a piece of treatment for that problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
So those two roles are very, very different, and I think that's what I talk about is the empath.
Mm-hmm.
So when you ask me, what the impact of AI onto our industry, I say that only the curators and the empaths will survive.
Okay.
You are either very good at
Mm-hmm.
deciding which solution is the best and why,
Yeah.
or you're very good at communicating it.
Yes. I like that.
If you can't do those two things,
Yeah.
you are replaceable.
Yeah.
And that's that. I think
That's
that is where AI is heading.
I like that. I hope that to well, do I hope that to be the case? Maybe not, because that actually, in my mind, without doing a survey on it, the empath or curator types, I feel that's a minority.
Yeah.
In fact, I know that to be in a minority without doing a survey, right? I know that to be a minority. That by definition is great for them. It doesn't mean it's not so great for the rest of the industry then. And I don't think it's a this year, 2 years, maybe a 5 year, maybe a 5 to 10 year play,
Hmm.
where actually AI will have a bigger place and there'll be less people needed. I
Yeah.
don't know.
I mean,
That's a
I think that's an inevitable in an industry that's computer led, right?
yeah,
We've embraced computers. It's kind of the irony of our own demise, right? We've
yeah,
embraced computers
like many things.
and computers and visualization and modeling and intelligent
Yeah,
BIM design and all that kind of stuff.
sure.
And what we've sort of slowly been doing is imbuing our information with so much data
Hmm.
that it's just so easy to do without us.
Yeah,
And
yeah. We kind of
that's
got
the kind of
ourselves there,
classic
but
classic
yeah,
demise of humanity
sure.
and the machines. But without getting too glib about it,
Yeah, well,
but you will
yeah,
still need somebody
yeah.
to tell you the story
I'm a firm believer
of
in that. Yeah,
because some of my team say to me, no, they'll never replace an architect who can think about light and flow and space and
yeah,
color, and those to me are all just data points.
yeah,
We hold them in our heads as emotional
yeah,
things, but they are just data points. You could codify good flow, you could codify um, uh, good light, you can codify those things,
yeah,
and if they can be coded, they can be done by somebody else. But I don't think people are ready to hear it from a machine.
yeah,
So that communication of that story,
yeah,
I think for a while at least,
yeah.
will come from us. And like I say,
I,
on complicated problems, on
yeah,
simple problems, your kind of classic simple architectural problem. How many of us are very happy to book complicated things online rather than speak to a person? It's a sad state of
yeah.
affairs. But
It's the way of the world, but it is
yeah,
sad. You're right. And I agree. I don't think it's in the too close a future.
no,
I do see it coming though. But as long as we, as an industry and our clients, as long as we're human, we will appreciate the human input into it.
yeah,
And again, as we sit here today, you're only as good as the prompt that you put into the AI. and
yeah.
that's still being refined, and everyone's playing with that and finding their own ways, then the output's got to be interpreted, actioned, and advice that goes with it.
Plus,
So,
we also forget that AI isn't actually intelligent. It's currently, I'd say
yeah,
currently
currently,
because it's coming,
yeah, yeah,
but it isn't actually intelligent. It's
yeah,
giving you advice. It's giving you information that you can understand to broadly be correct.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
based on word sequences and wordplay. It doesn't even need to know what it's
yeah,
saying. It actually doesn't know what it's saying. It just knows that it sounds like probably it's what you think you want to hear.
yeah,
Is that
yeah.
intelligence? We can have the if
Well,
it
it's
quacks
artificial intelligence,
if it
I
quacks like a
guess.
duck.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
um
Um,
yeah,
I don't know what the answer to
but
that is, but
we
that's
maybe place a little too much emphasis on whether it's right or wrong, and I think that's why
sure.
still today,
Yeah.
it's not forever, but still today there's that kind
Mm,
of element of human interface
mm.
that's needed
Okay.
um
I
to
totally agree.
navigate that.
Totally agree. And I think all our whole industry would agree if they were all sat on the sofa. Um, but it's about keeping an eye on the future. And I guess we just got to do that as we go, really. Rod, we covered a lot there. Some great chats. We could probably continue on a couple of these topics for
For sure,
another
yeah.
hour. And in fact, I know we could. And maybe we will one day.
Yes, I'll
But
come back.
yeah, you're more than welcome. We got deep-ish on a few topics there. So maybe we can end on a little bit of fun. You up for that?
Let's do it.
Fantastic. Good. Right, I'm going to pass you a beautifully branded Spark bag
Right,
because everyone loves a tote bag.
everyone has a tote bag.
In there, you'll find a load of numbers between 1 and 10. Pick one and get ready to think on your feet a little bit, my
To
friend.
rumble.
Yeah. What have you got?
I have got number 3.
Oh, number 3. Oh, right. Oh, God. Right, number 3 is flip the script. This is your opportunity to ask me anything. Anything goes.
Anything
I've been
goes.
really dreading this one, actually, to be fair. It could be professional, it could be personal, it could be fun, it could be anything. But you get to ask me anything. Damn.
Wow. Okay, let me ponder for a second. I'll keep it professional because
You're doing me a favour, thank you.
well, no, well, only because I'm interested
Okay,
in how the other side of what the other side
okay,
of
all
the
right,
desk looks like.
all right, okay.
So, one of my greatest frustrations with project management
I agree. Oh, damn. Okay, okay.
is no, with project management
Yeah.
is that some project managers can act as a postman
Mhm.
between the team, basically sitting as uh, if you imagine a card dealing machine
Yeah,
that just takes all the cards in and then deals them back out again automatically around a table,
yeah, yeah,
um, and actually doesn't necessarily unlock a process or move a process
yeah.
forward,
Hmm.
and in fact potentially is a bottleneck to that level of communication because you could more easily have the conversations
Yeah,
directly.
yeah, I agree, yeah.
And how how do you avoid that when you have large teams who are supposed to be talking to each other,
Mm,
but you're positioned in a place where you need to have oversight of the entire thing,
mm.
and your role, I suppose, as I see it, is to drive things forward.
Yeah, okay. There's a lot to unpack in that, but I'll give you an abridged version of that. Number one, I agree with what you're saying. That I've got vast experience of working with other project management firms, project managers, organization culture. It seems to be the way, all right? But for me, it's not always their fault, shall we say. They are part of an organization or they've got a certain amount of experience under the belt, whatever it may be. So we can't and shouldn't look at the individual as being part of the problem, okay? For me, though, it does come back to experience and a human connection,
Hmm.
okay? We can all hide behind an email, we can. There's a generational question mark here where, dare I say, controversial, I'm going to get lots of hate in the comments, that some of the younger people in our industry maybe are a bit more comfortable chatting on WhatsApp or sending an email or something of that description rather than actually having a stand-up conversation, looking in someone's eyes and
Yeah.
going, right, how are we going to solve this? And thinking creatively about it. I think sometimes PMs can put themselves on a pedestal, and I have in my past. I have full acknowledgement of that. But it comes down to experience on what's the blockers, and it goes back to the goal. if we've got enough thought up front, enough time, enough kind of discussion and challenging up front, then actually the project process should be much smoother with more people aligned, and that was the word that you used. We've cut through the cloud,
Yeah.
all right. We've got a clear strategy, or a clearish, nothing's perfect, that we can actually avoid some of that challenge because people are more aligned. Um, but for me, it comes down to blockers and cutting away the red tape and the bureaucracy and all the tick sheets and templates that every project manager's got, and we all love it, and
Yeah.
hiding behind them sometimes.
Hide behind a spreadsheet.
Yeah,
We
we,
all
we
love that.
love doing it. Um, and I would say this, of course, Spark's not like that. I'm not like that. And we're problem solvers. Example, one of our major projects just now, over the last 2 weeks, we're halfway through, or give or take, maybe just under halfway through. We have flipped the script on how we run our project meetings. We've got minutes and we've got contractor reports and all of that, but we've got a bottleneck in front of us. So we flipped it. It's right, what's the blockers? So we've actually broke down our project meetings now into 3 sections. Green, what's good? What did we achieve in the last 2 weeks? Brilliant, high five. What's amber? What's the next 2 week priorities? And that's a rolling magnifying glass. And then red, what's the blockers that are stopping the ambers, right? And it's a green, amber, red situation where you go through it. There's probably 5 to 10 items each. That's what the discussion's about. And yes, it gets minuted and all that kind of good stuff. And yes, there's a tracker in the background, but it's the discussion in the room that will build the project and solve the problems. And it's frank conversations, and I'm known
Yeah.
for my frank
You
conversations
are known for your frank conversations.
purely because I'm a bit sick of us farting around the issue.
Yeah.
Get to the point. How do we fix it? And we've all got the expertise and experience in the room. We're all being paid well. Can we just get to the point and fix it? And let's forget about the spreadsheet, because that spreadsheet will be filled in as and when it needs to. But me and you talking, we're going to solve that problem. So that was a very long answer, which I can keep going on. But there you go. You got to ask me anything.
There we go. That was good. I enjoyed it. It was
Fantastic.
good because I didn't have to think of an answer.
Brilliant. Well, Rod, look, I really enjoyed our chat,
That was
and
great.
thank you very much for coming in. Some great thoughts there. Thanks again.
Thank you very much.
I have no doubt you got some inspiration from that discussion, and I've probably got some quite clear thoughts about some of the topics we touched on. If you would like to engage in this discussion, please do so on LinkedIn. However, wherever you're watching, there's like, subscribe, share buttons all along the bottom here. But please do get the conversation out as far, as wide as we possibly can. All links will be in the show notes for Rod, Marino Massey. And if you or someone that you know could use some strategic early advice, please do get in touch with me through LinkedIn or check us out on the spark.london website. Until next time, thank you for listening.